Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme tutorial. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to do this sort of split filtered headline that we've got going on here. It's very striking, it stands out well, it's pretty easy to do, and like I say, it really does look good on the website. Divi is an absolutely awesome theme. If you're building any sort of site with WordPress at all, I do suggest you check it out. If you want to take it for a test run, you can do so from my affiliate link below this video here. It just keeps getting better and better with more and more features. So here we are on the page that I'm going to do. I'm going to enable Divi's visual builder right here, which will allow us to build on the front end. Once the builder loads, let's go down to where we want to put our little section. Quite often a section like this you'd want to put it at the top, but I am going to put it, I guess we'll just put it below here. I think what I'll do is quickly add a section below, just a little white section with a bit of writing in it, so we've got something top and bottom of our section we're going to build. So I'm just going to add a section. I'm going to put one little text block in there. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, for our new section, let's create a new section. A little blue button right here. Add a new section. I'm going to use a regular section. And inside this section, I'm going to add 2 columns. There we go. I don't want to actually add a module at this point. So what I'm going to do is just X out of there. I'm going to go to the actual row settings and I'm going to give it a gradient background. So I'm going to go to background. And the second tab right there is the gradient. I think I'll leave that blue there and make something darker on this side. Something like that. That's going to work fine, I think. Let's just flip it. At the moment, if you look at that gradient, it's sort of going light to dark, top to bottom. Let's flip it so it's going more left to right. So if we go down to our settings here, gradient direction, let's change that to about 90 degrees and see what that does. There we go. We've got sort of light to dark gradient diagonally across there. I quite like that. So now we've got our gradient in place, what I want to do is also add a background image to the row. So I'm going to go over to our third tab here, which allows you to put a background image in there. And I guess I'll select any image. The one I used on that one before, I think was this one. So we'll use that one again. So as you can see, we've got an image there, but you might look at that and say, well, why did you put the gradient in? Because it's just covered it up. Well, that's our next step. We're going to use one of their fantastic blend modes to make the actual image and gradient mixed together. For our background image right now, settings look correct. I want it to cover, it's covering. I want it to be centered, that's fine. I don't want it to repeat. Now in the blend, this is where we want to make our sort of gradient show through with a bit of the picture as well. So I'm going to change this from normal to screen. There we go, and you can see a bit of that gradient popping through there. Play with these blend modes because you can get some wonderful effects. You really can by just these little filter effects. They're fantastic. So I'm going to put that back to blend, or screen I should say. The blend mode to screen. Okay, we're pretty good there. So far so good. So I'm going to save those changes. Now this row, we kind of want it to stretch the full width. So let's go to our row settings again and go to our sizing options. Go to the design tab and down to sizing. We want to use a custom gutter width because we don't really want any gaps between our 2 columns. So I'm going to slide that all the way down to 1. I want both of the columns to be equal heights just in case we decide to add some more content to one of them so they're not lopsided. Width, we want it to be 100% of the available, and the max width we want to be 100% to, which should take it full width. There we go. Let's type 100%. That's fine. So as you can see, we've got our little row there, and it's full width and it's blended just the way we want it. Now I have actually got a bit of padding at the top and the bottom of our section right here. So let's save this. I'm just going to get rid of that bit of padding because we want this on its own really. So I'm going to go into the section settings, this section, the first thing we added. I'm going to go down to the design and the spacing, and I'm going to put a 0 in top and bottom. You don't have to write in pics, it'll do it for you, and if you check the link it'll automatically do the second one for you. And as you can see, the section padding is now gone and our little row is flush up against the top and the bottom. Let's just add a little box shadow to the bottom to make it stand out a little bit to that section. We don't want too much there. I think I'll just use that one right there. Yeah, there you go. That's added a slight bit of depth to it. Let's just save that. So we're sort of shaping up now. It's starting to look good. What we've got to consider here is that on small screens, you know, if we flip from a desktop to perhaps a mobile phone or tablet, if I just click on this, the little purple button at the bottom, gives us options to see here. These columns are going to fold on top of each other. They're going to collapse on top of each other when it gets too small for whatever the content is. We've not actually got any content in there at the moment, but as you can see, those are actually on top of each other now. I want it to stay side by side. See those little black circles there, dark circles, represent each module. And because we've gone down to a smaller size screen, they've collapsed on top of each other, which is what a responsive site is supposed to do. But I don't want it to do that. I want our columns to stay side by side. So we just need to add a little bit of custom CSS. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the desktop screen. We'll go into our row once again, the little cog for the settings. Go to our advanced tab, and in the custom CSS, in the main element, we want to add a little bit of text. CSS text, and all we want to say is display flex semicolon. Always end with a semicolon in case you want to add a bit more code afterwards. So now, if I just save that, if I flip it over to the tablet screen again, they should still be side by side. I know we've got no content in there, but as you can see, those little black dots now are side by side instead of stacked on top of each other. So we're always going to have two columns, no matter what the size. Even if we flip to a mobile phone size, you've still got two columns there. So that's what we wanted. Let's get in there and put in our headline. Okay, what we're going to do now is we'll give our second column here a background color, so this sort of half will disappear. So let's go into our columns yet again. Column 1, column 2. Hit the little cog. I'm going to give it a background color of white. And there you can see we've got a white background color in there, but I don't want anything up top and bottom. So let's save that. We're still in our row module settings. Let's go to the sizing on this and do the same as we did with our section. So if we go to the design tab, go to spacing, and we want no padding top or bottom, 0, 0. There we go. And as you can see, that white section now is flush up against the top and the bottom, which is just what we wanted. Fantastic. Okay, now we set that padding. Let's go into our column 2 here and just make the blend mode the same as our section there, which was screen. So I'm on column 2, design tab, filter, go down, and at the bottom blend mode, let's change this to screen. There we go. You won't see anything, but when we start putting some text in there, the blend mode will filter through. So we'll save that. Now I think what I'm going to do is add a bit of space to column 1 to give this a bit of depth. To do that, I'm going to add a divider module. So let's save this, get out of here. Hit the little module add button here, the dark one. And I'm going to add a divider. Go down, there it is, there's our divider. Now, I don't want it to be visible, I should say. I don't want to see anything there, but I just want to have the space that it's going to give us. So I've said no, do not show divider. And now we need to move on to the spacing tab and give it the height we want. So if we go to design and then spacing. Today we're going to be using VWs instead of pix, and you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, VW stands for viewable width, and 1 VW is 1% of the available width of whatever the screen size you're using is. So that's why we're going to use VWs today, because it'll be more responsive than using pixels, unless we want to use different pixel sizes on different screens. But for this sort of thing, for responsiveness, I do suggest you use VWs. So let's give it a bit of space. If we give it, say on the margin, 50 VWs. And what that is actually going to do, as you can see, it's done it already. That's pretty much given it a spacing of half of the actual viewable width. So that's fine. That's worked absolutely perfectly. Fantastic. Now what we need to do is add a text module. We're going to add it to our second column here, because we've got a spacing module in here. Let's just save that. Click our little dot here. Because we've got blend modes and things working here, I don't know if you've noticed our little dot over here is sort of light grey instead of a nice dark there. If ever you have trouble finding it or seeing it, when you've got this little purple button expanded at the bottom here, you can simply go over to this little wireframe matrix here, and it'll take you kind of to the back end instantly, so you can see everything and add your little button. This is where we are. There's that divider we just added. This is what they call the wireframe mode, just in case you've got too much going on the front end. It's really useful. So let's go back to the screen and add our little text module to our second column. There it is right there. Now I can't even remember what I put in as, I just put in huge headline, wasn't it? So let's go down, let's find a text module, simply click on it. There it is. I'm going to delete what's in there, and I'm going to say huge headline, and I'm going to make that heading 1. Why not? Because I guess this would probably be a hero section. There it is up there. Doesn't look like much at the moment, but after we style it, it's going to look a lot better. So let's go and style it. I'm going to go to my design tab, and it's heading text. Remember, we made it H1, so I'm going to hit heading text H1. Or if you actually hover over it, you can just click on the little paintbrush, little blue thing there, and it'll take you straight to whatever it is you're hovering over. Okay, Divi comes with a fantastic amount of fonts. Play around with them. There really are some great fonts included in there. I'm going to leave mine as the default for this at the moment. I want to make it bold because it is a headline, and you know, at the end of the day, it's going to have a bit of an image behind it too. So you want to give it some body so you can actually see that image. That's fine. I'm going to leave the color at the moment. At the end, I'm going to change it white. I'm not going to change it white right now because it will disappear into that background if I do that. So I'm going to leave that for the moment. And we'll make the text size, again, instead of pix, we're going to use VW. So I'm going to make it, say 12 VWs. And as you can see, if I move this out of the way, that's made it pretty big there. I might want to pull those letters slightly together a little bit. But you can see the image bleeding through, and that's a nice little effect. Let's get that letter spacing. Let's just take that down a little bit, so it's a little tighter. Obviously, this is entirely up to you how you like to see it. Maybe I think again I'm going to use VWs for this so it'll translate better onto smaller devices. So I'll give it, I'm probably going to have a minus, so I'll try 2 VW and then we can adjust it from there. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, but it's a little too squished. If we would give it a bit of text shadow, that would be very interesting, but I'm not right now. So let's see, that's taking it down, so I want to take it up. That's perfect. You can give it decimals as well. I can say 1.5 VW if it's not exactly what you want. And then select the letter you want. Let's just take this up. A little bit more. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to leave it right there. Minus 1.1 VW. Like I say, you can type in your values. You can adjust finely with these little arrows here. And of course you can slide. But for fine adjustments, you probably want to use the little arrows right there. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with that. But I don't want it on 2 lines. And I want half of it on this side and half of it on this side. So it's made it into 2 lines there. We've only got 1 line because it's broken down off the end there, which is fine. Okay, well, let's give it a bit of space from the top so we can put it where we want it, and then we'll get it over to the left where we want it. We'll go to our design and our spacing again where we were just now. And I'll give it a top margin. Let's try 20 VW and see where that puts it. Maybe a little bit too much. Let's look at the whole section. I think I'll leave it at that. There's our whole section. I'll leave it at that for the time being. We can readjust in a moment. And I'll probably want a bit of bottom margin as well. I'll put in 2. We can always adjust these later on when we've got it exactly how we are. Now here comes the interesting bit. This is where we want to pull it over to the left hand side. So to do that, we need to give it a negative margin. So I'm going to try minus 30 VW. Let's try minus 30 VW. Oh, that's pretty close actually. It sort of disappeared into there. I'll get that back in a minute. But kind of what I want to do is balance it off into the middle. So let's select our 30. And which way do we want to go? Yeah, we want to go that way. And I think what I want is that H right there, sort of halfway. I don't know if it's hard for you to see. I can change that color now that we're there. So let's just save this and I'll change that color. In fact, I don't need to save it because we're on the right tab. We'll go to design and text. Of course, it's a heading text. Heading text, there it is. Let's leave it so we can see it, and I'll change it in a minute when we've got our blend mode correctly over here. Okay. Back to our margin. Now let's have a look. I'm going to 33.5. You can be pretty precise with these. Ooh, that's close. I got 0.52. That's extremely. Okay, and with our up and down arrows, let's just select our 0.5 there. 6, that's pretty close, I think. Yep, that's where I'm going to leave it right there, I think. And as you can see, it's pulled it over to the side just where we want it. So to make it stand out and add a little bit. Let's go down to our filters section and we'll add a blend mode to this and see what happens. This time I'm going to use something called difference, which should make it stand out real good. There we go. Boom, there we are. And as you can see, that's a completely different color there. The difference. Now if I go back to the text color or heading text color, each one. Now if I turn it to white, there we go. We've got our nice blue on the right hand side and the white on the left hand side, which really makes it stand out. So that's pretty much it really. Let's take a look at what we've got here. We may have to make some adjustments. So let's just save that. Here's the top of our section. There's the bottom of our section. I think it may want to come down a little bit. We may want to put a bit more margin on the top there. Let's have a look what we've got so far. Spacing, margin on the top. I think I want to bring that up some. It's whatever works for you. I think that's going to work for me. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. All I did was hit the up arrow. So let's save our changes. Save our changes here and exit the visual builder and see what we've got. And let's go down to our little section. There we go. There we have it. There's our huge headline section. It's pretty striking, lovely little effect. So I've re-enabled the builder now, and I'm just going to see what it looks like on mobile and tablets. So let's go to grab our little, let's have a look at it on a tablet. Yeah, that works absolutely fine. Let's have a look at it on a mobile. And again, for me, that works absolutely fine. You can play with your blend modes and your colors and get it to different things. Like I say, play with those blend modes. They are absolutely awesome. And back to our desktop again. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed that. There's how to add a split blended headline to your Divi website. If you've enjoyed that, please give it a thumbs up, share, comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, take a look down below. We've got some great free web development courses, as well as some premium courses with some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, so do check it out. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.